So it's been a while, and I keep meaning to make you a video, and I just haven't gotten to it. So we've made some changes, and for some reason it feels better to come to you and talk to you in the goat pasture. Look, there they are. There they are. So I just thought I would make a video with you in the goat pasture. It's a little bit easier if I set the phone down versus holding it, but I'll try holding it. So things have changed because that's the way it is. They just change, and that's something I'm getting used to. I have spent the last 14 weeks or so teaching at the local middle school, and I've learned a lot of things. I've learned a lot of things about what my expectations are versus reality. And as I was there, I realized how phenomenal homeschooling is. It says as I was, because I'm no longer there. One of the things, so I went ahead and almost at the end of the first 9 weeks, I gave them my notice to quit. And a week later, I said, let me see if I can move some things over. So why would I quit the school system? I'll be honest, I felt very guilty at the idea of quitting the school system. But my big thing was, my heart goes out to all the teachers because I had no time. With the restrictions being forced upon, the lack of mentoring and help, my job owned me. And if I was going to do that much work, I might as well go back into engineering. So, you know, this labor of love working, and that's, I mean, in all honesty, that's what it is. Teaching, I really think nowadays, it has to be a labor of love or the inability to go anywhere else or do something else. It would consume me from about 6 a.m. to about 8 o'clock at night, pretty much, with a little bit. And I found like I had less and less time for my own children. And I just felt like everybody else's child was a priority over my children. And there's a lot of things, like as I was evaluating this priority being taken over on me, was it worth it? And the stress just was astronomical. So I realized, like, week 5 going into it, I just realized, like, all of a sudden it was just this expectation. I had to train myself on everything, like, because of the district level. And, like, they found it completely acceptable that you spent an entire weekend figuring out something that they could have spent 30, 45 minutes, somebody just training you. And they were just like, yeah, well, that's part of the job. And to be honest, the teaching, the methods, and the one-on-one, I love it. I absolutely loved it. And I loved those aha moments the kids would have. But it was really hard and very demanding and very taxing each day, because I also had to keep the kids motivated to learn and to keep them on task. And I felt like I did more of that than teaching sometimes. And then, you know, grading the work, calling, you know, and then it's upon us to call the parents. It's upon us to not only call the parents, but keep like detailed logs of who has been in your classroom and who has not been in your classroom, and where did that kid sit, and did they stay in their seat. And at the same time, you're moving classrooms, and it just became insane. And like, it wore me down every weekend to work on it. And so I decided I could just see, like, my kids' level of their own education was going down from my lack of ability of being part of it, if that makes sense. And I said, you know, something's got to give. So at the time, I had 2 of my high school kids were playing golf, and I have the one in the middle school with me, and I have my 3 in the elementary school. And I felt like I was hardly keeping up with them, and they just needed their mom. And we did a lot of easy dinners, fast food dinners, because that worked versus, I don't know what, because I didn't have time for anything, to be honest. I just did not have time. And one of the things I was running into was ulcers. I was starting to get stomach ulcers, just the stress of making my students such a priority. And then at the same time, I felt like what I was trying to do, nobody else seen it as a priority. Not the administration, not the students or their parents. The parents a lot of times just wanted, like, did my kid get a good grade? And my homeschool mentality is very much like, who cares what grade they got? Did they learn it? Do they understand it? They weren't interested in that. That was really hard. So I put in at the end of the quarter to not work, and I just told them, I'm like, I can't balance this yet with the needs of my kids and the needs of this job. And for that first whole week, all I did was cry. I did not want to leave my students. And I said, let me change my last day till later, and let me see if I can make things work. And I felt good about that for about a week. And then the next week hit, and I'm like, that morning I just woke up and I'm like, this is not where I'm, you know, this isn't what I'm supposed to do. That day I got quarantined. My middle daughter and I both, because of her class, got quarantined because I was one of her teachers. We got quarantined. And then I spent literally that day, that Monday, like at noon, on my phone, in my van with the other school, the elementary school, figuring out what do I do with them? Because being quarantined meant I had to Zoom school, and I Zoom schooled until like an hour after they got out of school. And so I'm just like, how do we do this? And so the idea was I would bring them home to Zoom school. They would Zoom school and I would Zoom teach, and that would be great. So here we are. There's 5 of us Zooming. I was Zoom teaching and 4 kids were Zoom schooling. My internet crashed the entire time. I was stuck in front of my computer from 9 a.m. to 3:30 every day. Oh my goodness, I was miserable, you know. And then I would actually have to ask my kids. I had no idea what my kids were doing because I was it was insane. It was just absolutely insane. And I realized there's no way to balance this. There's no way, like, I couldn't virtual teach. I couldn't, you know, it's just too much. And we came back to school, and, you know, like a week and a half later, and I said, okay, I'm sorry, but this is not working out for me, and I can't do this. And we were back 3 days in school, and my youngest son gets quarantined. His whole class gets quarantined, and he's sent home. And at that point, I'm like, I might as well just say effective immediately. How in the world am I going to do this? So I stayed home with my son the one day. My husband worked things out and could stay with him the next day. I went in, and I'd already given my notice, and I went in and I told the kids, I go, I don't know how I'm going to get back here next week, so it's probably effective immediately. I love you dearly. If you want tutoring, let me know. I will tutor you. Best wishes. Love you dearly, but I have to take care of my kids. So yeah, that's what I did. So will I be homeschooling? Oh, the $1 million question. Yeah, I think I will be. I think I will be sooner than later. One of the things I've come to figure out, and I've learned since being in the school, is a lot of times the school systems like to use a Eureka Math or an Engage New York Math. And sometimes they'll buy the workbooks, sometimes they won't. And I love it because they tell me in my school board meetings, and they tell me when you talk to them, that we're not using Common Core Math, only to learn and understand that Engage New York was the flagship curriculum for Common Core. So then I'm looking, and they're learning Common Core. I'm sorry, I just spent 14 weeks teaching these children who were trained up on this curriculum that out of 100, 5 were ready. And when I say the rest were not, it was a huge amount that they were not ready. I'm certain if somebody wants to put the effort in, they could make any curriculum work. But yeah, so my husband really got a hold and took a look at what this was, and he's like, okay, this is ridiculous. He's like, no. So we haven't quite figured out a start date. I'd like to say I'm in a hurry, but I'm not in a hurry. Really looking to see the way a classroom's ran, and running a classroom. I've come to realize I've spent 10 years trying to keep up with what the school was doing, or what I thought a school was doing. And now I have more of a sense of like, I don't need to do that. Sorry, I keep getting distracted by everything. I don't need to do that. And just taking the time to say, we don't need to keep up with school, and what we do at home is so much richer and deeper and better than what's going on at the school. At home, what we do at home is so much better than what we do at school. And to bring back the richness of what I once had, and not be so, oh, she's coming to visit. Say hi. Say hi. And finding the fun things, and bringing back the fun things, and not feeling like we got to school 5-6 hours a day, and not feeling like I have to have everything on paper. Oh my goodness, that's something I learned. I don't need to have everything on paper. You know, I won't lie, I'm going back through, and I've kind of had my kids start working on stuff, but not like, here's our day. And Addie, so she's 5th grade, we're working on Saxon 5-4, and I read the lesson to her. I read the lesson, I explained the concepts, we did the practice, and I called it a day. And she wrote it out on a whiteboard, and I didn't document. All I did was document, you know, this is what I did. And I don't even need to document yet because I haven't pulled her out of school. So I'm figuring that part out, and kind of making my way, and trying to figure out a way to be content, and knowing where I'm going, but being okay with figuring out how to get there each step of the way. I can say I felt like I failed my first child, and she's finishing up her first semester as a 10th grader, and she's doing phenomenal. Even in math, she's doing phenomenal, where she wasn't really putting in, we weren't where we were supposed to be in 6th grade, and now she's just doing crazy amazing. And then I see where I wish I would have slowed down and taken the time to do things more verbally, and not be so caught up in finishing a book. That's what I've really learned about, just not being caught up finishing a book. So I will get in touch with you, and I will tell you about more things as they come up. And let you know once we're back to homeschooling. I can tell you this much, I probably will not be homeschooling. Well, my oldest, I won't be homeschooling. I'll leave her in the high school, because as things are going next year, she probably won't be in any high school classes. She'll just be taking dual enrollment, which would be what I would do if she was homeschooling anyways. And then this way, it allows us to make use of more help by going through the school, and they work with me, and it works really good. My son will probably stay in, you know, we got some things to figure out, but then he'll be there. And to be honest, my next one will probably come home, and then she'll go into high school later on. But her goal is to start 9th grade with a college class, taking a college class. So we'll just kind of play it by ear. So anyways, I miss you guys dearly. I'm going to try and work hard at getting back to you, but there are no promises here. I'm just, you know, kind of figuring it out as I go, and kind of recovering from my public school experience. If you got any questions, you know, not specifically personal ones, but like generic questions of like some of the things that you feel like you're trying to compensate for when you're homeschooling, thinking that if they were in public school they would get this, ask me, and I will tell you the honest truth on what I saw. even when I was teaching, it was so watered down to what would have been done at home. And it amazed me. And I felt like we didn't move very fast in our curriculum. And then I'm seeing what's going on. And we moved so much slower in the school. And it was one of those, if you wanted them to get it, you had to move so stinging slow that it looked like you weren't doing anything. Or if you wanted to get through content, they barely kept a hold of it by the skin of their teeth. So just go ahead and ask me. I'll let you know. So anyways, I will talk to you later, my lovelies. And I'm gonna enjoy a little more goat therapy time out here with my goats and move some more wonderful books into my house. I'll have to show you that later, but I will talk to you soon. Bye.